When is Hasbro ever gonna reuse this guy? What's going on, everybody? Republic Cinema here, and in this video, we're going to be taking yet again another throwback review of the Transformers Studio Series 07 Brawl. I don't think I've ever done a review of this guy, so why not? And with the upcoming release of the masterpiece MPM Brawl, now would be the appropriate time to look back at this figure. After all, the MPM Brawl is based off of this toy. So, when it came to the 07 movie cast, I liked Brawl, just not as much as Blackout, but Brawl was okay. And hey, this guy transforms into a literal tank. What more can you ask for this guy? Now, if I remember correctly, he doesn't really say much other than one line that he threw in right before he launches his missiles, and then that was it. Other than a part where he spoke Cybertronian. One thing I'd like to point out with the character is that he called himself Devastator for some reason. Yeah, buddy, you may got the green, just not that type of green. Longhaul had more green than you. Besides, you belong in the Bruticus pile anyways. Perhaps if there was some more added lore to this guy, I'm sure it would have suggested that he called himself Devastator as a nickname, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't have known if, I didn't take any research. But anyways, back to the figure. Painting and sculpting, pretty good. The paint job is on point, as well as the sculpt being movie accurate. Oh, and that head sculpt is nice. There's a lot being shown on the head. From the eyes to the mouth. Whoever designed this head also did a good job on the top over here. Now, of course, I can't mention the kibble that this guy comes with. Of course, there's kibble on the back, kibble on the arms, kibble on the legs, and even kibble right here. For some reason, the main cannon was thrown on the bottom right here, which looks odd. Very odd. I don't recall this being stored right here for the previous incarnations of the 07 Brawl. Another thing to point out is that these rakes look alright. It's just, it appears as if they stick out a little bit too much. I believe there is a knockoff that fixes that problem. But I mean, it's not too bad. It doesn't like go all over the place, as there is this piece holding this entire section in place, preventing the section from moving up and down in annoyance. Now, quality wise, he's alright. But since I've had this guy for about like 3 years, there is a little bit of wear on my copy. Most notably the head. For some reason, it's very loose. I mean, that's probably perhaps because I popped the head off, because I've done that before. There's other pieces that are a little bit loose, just like not as loose as the head, and the quality on the arms is alright, and the legs too, except after giving the legs a good shake, when they move from side to side, they do appear to be a little loose. Oh, and the knees don't have any problem because they're locked in by a tab when you straighten them out. So yeah, quality still alright, still holds up, except for the head. But anyways, I think it's time we move on to accessories. So the first accessory that he comes with is this railgun-ish sort of quad barrel minigun. The one that's infamously known for making that one sound when shooting bullets. Also, I just noticed this, but there just so happens to be a scope on this guy. Is that the reason why the minigun looks a little lopsided? I don't know. And then the other accessory he comes with is this claw-like weapon, with an extra Gatling gun on the top, which is actually removable. The claw accessory does in fact have a little bit of articulation, as the claw does move up and down, and is also removable. But anyways, in terms of primary weapon storage, the railgun will have gone on the left of the arm, as well as the claw gun going on the right. And now, here's Brawl, fully prepped and ready to go. Come to realize, Hasbro never designed the right arm in a way where it's easily removable, in reference of Ratchet chopping this guy's arm off. Hopefully that's a feature that's added onto the MPM. But anyways, for creativity, the weapons can also be stored on the hands of this guy, as well as the weapons being stored on the back. Now, I believe I've just about covered everything with the accessories, and now we can officially move on to articulation. So starting off, ball joint at the head. I don't know if these count, but the missile launchers are also on a ball joint, as well as the thing holding the missile launchers can also move up and down as well. Again, I don't know if this counts, but the back does have a little bit of a swivel. And these little pitchforks or whatever you call them are on a ball joint. Full rotation at the arm, bend at the shoulder, bend at the elbow, elbow swivel. Unfortunately, no wrist swivel and no waist swivel. Legs can spread. Leg can move forward. Also, if you're wondering why there's clay over here, that's because I've used this guy for previous stop motions, and I have used clay to hold this figure standing in place so that way he doesn't abruptly fall. But anyways, leg can also move backwards. There's also a bend at the knee rotation, and the foot can also move up and down. It's just you have to untab a few things before you can do that. And I think that pretty much sums up everything about the articulation. Pretty simple, pretty plain also, since considering there's a few pieces that don't have swivel joints, but whatever. Anyways, moving on to size comparison. Starting off with the Decepticon cast from the 07 movie, here we got Barricade, Bone Crusher, Starscream, Megatron, Blackout alongside Scorponok, and here he is alongside with a few Autobots like Jazz, Bumblebee, Ratchet, Ironhide, Optimus Prime. Moving on to a few randoms, here he is with the 05 Optimus Prime, a fellow Wavemate Lockdown, another fellow Wavemate Revenge of the Fallen Megatron, and then lastly, cause why not, it's appropriate, here he is alongside the original Leader Class Brawl. Only this is the Allspark Power repaint of this guy. Sheesh, this dude really shrunk over the years. And the gang's all here, minus Frenzy. Who knows when Frenzy will be a thing. Other than that, I assure you everyone is pretty much all here. And not gonna lie, it's a pretty cool Decepticon team going on over here. What I liked about this Decepticon team from the first movie was that each character was distinct. Not just by color, of course, but also shape and size. As the movies progressed on, the Decepticons started to become more silver and dull. Now thanks to the overuse of the protoforms, I guess. But anyways, here he is alongside his fellow Wavemates from Wave 2 of the Studio series. There were 2 repackages, of course, but those were from Wave 1. Oh, and Ironhide wasn't until Wave 3 for the record. And then one more comparison, but here Brawl lies with the original 5 molds for the Voyagers for Studio series. And yeah, I believe these figures still hold to this day. Most of them. And in case you didn't notice, this figure was number 12 in the main line of Studio series, as well as Megatron being 13 and Ironhide being 14. Hang on, wait a minute, I forgot someone. Uh-oh. Oops. I completely forgot about Thundercracker. Technically, Thundercracker was just a remold of the head. The rest of the body was just reused parts from the Voyager class Nitro Zeus all the way back in The Last Night. But hey, it's also worth counting him as the original 6 because, well, he was labeled number 9 in the mainline Studio series. Perhaps I should do a review of this guy. But anyways, out of the original 6 Voyager class figures, leave a comment down below which one's your favorite. And yeah, that's pretty much it for size comparison. What I just realized is that all of those 6 figures, but this guy, had repaints. Thundercracker technically, because the KSI boss came around, which was pretty much a repaint of that mold, just reusing the Nitro head. Okay, maybe that didn't really count so much, but whatever. What I'm saying is that this guy never had a repaint. And what would have been cool to see was this guy have his own, like, 15th anniversary premium-ish sort of repaint, supposedly being slapped onto a 15th anniversary 07 2-pack of Brawl. Excuse me, Bone Crusher. But unfortunately, that's not happening, as Hasbro has already moved on to the 15th anniversary of Revenge of the Fallen, as we are getting a multi-pack later this year. And it's a shame. It would have been really cool to see a 2-pack of these guys. Could have done one earlier this year. I guess the reason why Hasbro never decided to do a 15th anniversary of these 2 figures, like, at all, was for Brawl, it would have clashed with the sales of the Masterpiece MPM Brawl, which doesn't really make any sense to me because last year, Bone Crusher, in fact, did get a repaint earlier that year, as well as a MPM release in the same year. So I suppose Hasbro could have done something like that with Brawl. But yeah, unfortunately for Brawl and Bone Crusher, they won't be seeing their own 15th anniversary repaints, which does suck. I suppose Bone Crusher didn't really need one because, well, there was a nest repaint that still you can get for a reasonable price on Amazon as well. What I hope Hasbro does with the Studio Series Brawl, however, is make a Dark of the Moon desert-ish repaint, as there was a Desert Sand repainted Brawl in Dark of the Moon on the scene of Optimus Prime's Great Rage as he was charging onto Shockwave. You might have noticed there was one Decepticon that got shot down right before Prime hit the ground. Of course that was this guy, just in a Desert Sand repaint. And obviously it wasn't the same Brawl as we saw in the 07, just a reuse. That happened a lot in the Bayverse in terms of like Decepticons. Take Long Haul, for example. But of course that gives Hasbro an opportunity to make as many repaints as they want. I'm sure eventually this guy will come about as having his Desert Sand repaint, just not anytime soon. But anyways, even when or if Hasbro decides to do a Desert Sand repaint of the Studio Series Voyager class Brawl, 9 times out of 10 they might have him as a Target exclusive. Who knows? Only time will tell, but I hope eventually Hasbro goes back and does something with this Voyager class figure. I wonder if the reason why Hasbro hasn't done anything with this figure is because of the sales of this guy. At the time of his release, he did shelf warm quite a lot. Some Targets still had him up until 2020, and then later in 2020 the figure started to become a little expensive because he finally sold out. Interesting. It's funny how you'd expect this figure as a shelf warmer to be all around the aftermarket, but then somehow just be hard to find for a reasonable price. I mean, stuff like that does happen, even with the helicopter dropkick. Could the Coordination Starscream be next, however? Nah, that's pretty unlikely. But anyways, let's not get sidetracked, as it's time we talk about this figure's transformation, which is a little bit on the fiddly sides. There are a few steps that you have to do in order to move forward onto the transformation, but then again, it's not half as bad as, say, Mirage's transformation or Pablo's. But starting off, what I like to do first is have these pieces closed in onto the backpack. And then what I like to do next is work on the legs by untabbing this piece right here. Will allow the feet to fold in. Once the other leg is folded in, there will also be this little flap that will conjoin both legs together, forming the back base of the tank. And now, here's where things get tricky. The rake-y sort of whatever will rotate, the chest will untab, as well as these pieces shall fold in, leaving them down like so, which opens the door for these to move out, as well as these to untab. Another step in the transformation is to move these treads upwards, as well as moving these panels down before moving the treads. By doing this, we'll allow this entire section to rotate. After that, here comes this panel's turn, and then by folding in the head right here, shall allow these two tabs to plug in onto these two slots like so. After that, these pieces will move up. After that, this entire section will move upwards, which will allow for some space for the arm to fold in like so. It also helps for this to be pushed inwards, and then the front over here will just tab in. The same process is repeated for the other side, only this time the arms that are now folded in will conjoin together on the front and the back. Once that's out of the way, this section will rotate and be pushed down, as well as being closed in onto a few tabs. One final step, this will fold out, as well as this entire section folding in onto that part right there. Same goes for the other side. And here you have Studio Series Brawl in his alternate mode. Now I will say, this Ting mode is actually pretty good. There's little to no bits of kibble sticking out in random places. Everything seems to be a little flat and smooth, and any bits of alternate mode kibble is neatly stored on the inside. Now, this tank mode does have a little bit of articulation, as these pieces are on a ball joint, and the missiles also being on a ball joint. And by untabbing this entire section, it can also serve as a little bit of articulation as well, consisting of a swivel movement and somewhat an up and down movement as well. All three of the cannons are sculpted nicely, and overall a movie accurate looking tank mode. Now, I believe this tank is a modified M1A1 Abrams. And mind you, this was in 2007. Present day, we have an M1A2 Abrams tank. Just not like this, of course. Most of those tanks nowadays are with a desert-ish sort of paint job and do not have this extra bit as well as these pieces right here. Like I said, the tank mode that they used for Brawl was modified. And correct me if I'm wrong, but also reused in another movie. Also, for some reason, on my copy, this whole section right here does appear to be a little lopsided. I don't know why. Oh, and unfortunately, this entire section does not have a swivel joint, which does in fact suck, as normally that's how any tank would move, as well as this piece supposing to move up and down, but unfortunately that was also scrapped from this figure's design. So yeah, there's a little bit of articulation lacking for this guy, which further makes things a little boring in terms of tank mode, other than the look. But anyways, weapon storage on the alternate mode is pretty much the same thing as the robot mode, although some people don't like this weapon storage over here. Me personally, I kind of like it. I don't know why. But anyways, for a quick comparison, here he is alongside Studio Series Bone Crusher, which both of them were seen racing on the highway towards Mission City. Not gonna lie, Brawl would have probably made traffic on his way to Mission City, considering how slow the tank would have been. But anyways, the two look good, and it would have been cool to see them fighting alongside each other. However, that wasn't the case, unfortunately. Oh well. And then for another size comparison, here he is alongside the original Leader Class Brawl. Yeah, the tank is very big. Don't get me wrong, both the tank modes are really great, but just seeing the size difference just blows my mind, as the Leader Class essentially just dwarfs the Voyager class. I'm curious to know how that one deluxe class Brawl looked like, as I don't have him, and I don't think I ever will because I don't plan on getting that. I think these two are enough. Hey, would love to see a desert repaint of this guy, but anyways, leave a comment down below which tank mode is your favorite, whether be it the accurate Studio Series figure or this big boy. Actually, correct me if I'm wrong, this guy might be a little bit more accurate. Oh wait, no, he has kibble. Never mind. Other than that, pretty accurate. And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I had to say for this guy. Overall, pretty solid figure. If you're looking to complete your Decepticon team from the 07 movie, then this figure's just for you. However, if you're looking to get him, he's a little hard to find on the aftermarket, but last I checked on eBay, which was recently, there was a deal, which is selling Studio Series Brawl for $39.99. With the packaging, I think. It's brand new. The listing, however, has a digital cover rather than showing the actual packaging, but I have bought stuff that came from here in the US that has had digital covers before and ended up getting what I ordered. Almost forgot, it is worth mentioning that this listing is from the United States. So yeah, if you're looking to get Brawl, I suggest checking out that one listing on eBay. That's if you're willing to pay $40. Honestly, it's a pretty good deal. You get him sealed in the box, unopened. He's probably worth 70 to 90 bucks in that condition, so yeah, I'd probably get that. I got mine loose for 42 bucks. Please don't ask why. But anyways, I hope Hasbro revisits this figure, hopefully makes a repaint of him in the future at least. But the day that happens is far from today. Till then, we have the Masterpiece MPM Brawl, which is like $165. But anyways, if you like what you saw in this video, be sure to slam that like button, share this with your friends as well, turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss another upload, let me know how I did in this video, and most importantly, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. See ya!